Yeah, g'day guys. So today, we're going to cut it the other way. So the plan is to cut it down the middle. Let's get into it, Here we go. Okay, couple of things. I'm not actually going to cut it right down the middle, the whole thing all the way. You know, that'd be silly. Why would I do that? The reasoning for the widening is, obviously the wheels, but I'm not real keen on bringing the body all the way out, because if you look at any other four-wheel drive, or especially Jeeps, they seem to have some sort of a flare. And mainly because if you're running along brush, only your flare is going to be impacted, not scratches all up the side of your body or anything like that. Not that this is going to be a pristine looking thing, but or bashed, or like the flares are easier to repair and replace than the side of the body. So that's my sort of thoughts. Main reason I want to widen it is, if you have a look at that, the width of the chassis is about 70-80 mil wider than the inner mudguards. So I was kind of thinking, what if I just make it where the wheel well is the same width as the chassis? So, and then if I got to put a little flare on it, which I think I will, I only need a little one, not a massive big wide 150 mil rubber flare. Because rubber will be easier in this application. No point going fiberglass because I might bust it or break it. So for me to widen it like that, I only need to do the back part. I still need to connect it at the front. See where it jots out here, has an angle on it. So the angle will just come out a little bit further, and then I'll go straight. So the floor's getting cut out anyway. So it's not really going to be a big task. Well, it is. It's going to take me all day and maybe tomorrow and probably part of the next day. Anyway. So what I'm planning to do is cut out the floor. So I'll cut out the actual back floor. This has only just been spot welded, not even spot welded. Oh, that's not even a weld. Anyway, there's one there. So it's just been tacked sort of together along a few spots, same on each side. So if I just cut all those tacks and cut it along the front of the mudguard there, the wheel guard, this floor should come away, as well as, that someone's put bog or filler. I don't know why. Why would you do that? Probably because I don't know, or didn't have any ideas how they were going to finish it. So I thought, let's just put it bog there. Yeah, that's going to work. More bog than a festival toilet. So let's cut along the back and cut those tacks along there, and see what sort of a mess I can make. It's going to start making it really, really flimsy soon. I'm only going to have sides and the mudguards. I guess I will have the back. Now, do I cut it in the middle and widen the middle bit, so then I still got the hump? Or do I just cut it out here and just put a piece of angle on all the way across there? Leave that with me. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish that, because I don't need these original hinges or hinge bases. Now they're original CJ3B or even earlier catches and hinges. I'm planning to have a flush mount back tailgate, so it should be not needed. Well, none of these catches will be needed for any of that. I don't quite know how I'm working it out yet, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So we'll let that tailgate problem be future Jim's problem. We'll let him worry about it. Isn't this how they make cars in the Flintstones? Hammer and a chisel? Now I've done it. What a mess. Shows you how flimsy those mudguards are. There's not much holding them in place. Yeah, so she looks a bit all out of shape now. Maybe I should sit it on the ground. Nah, let's do it the hard way. So I've got a new piece of angle iron to go across from here. It'll be one piece, so it won't have the the riser in it for the old pintle hook in the original one, but that's fine. Nothing on this is going to be like original anyway, except that it looks like a Jeep, sort of. Let's carry on. I'll try and square this up a little bit, see if I can get things flatter and start cutting the sheet to go in on the floor there. So let's start trying to widen it and see if I can get some sort of... So let's try and get this looking like a Jeep body again, eh? Let's get into that. Okay, I've done a little bit of cleaning, grinding and tidying up, getting rid of some burrs, and I've made this gate. You could call it a gate. Can't hold it far enough away. It is exactly the right width that I want it to be. It's wider than what it currently is. Tack one side and push it apart, and then work out what I'm doing with the front part. So this will keep it exactly square and tidy, and it won't jump around on me or flop. Well, not as much anyway. So I'll quickly remove this little last brace. It's only hanging on by one little tack on the top here. So I'll remove that and I'll tack that big piece into place, which will be the right size. And then once that's in, I can cut the floor, a new piece of floor material. Actually, I might use some checker plate, a little bit heavier thickness, and slide it straight in. And then the whole back will be square and flat. Then I've just got to try and pull in the sides a little bit to get them right, and maybe put a cross brace in there of some kind, just to keep it true and square as I'm going, and then I just work my way forward. Okay, let's get into that. So I've got an extra brace right in the middle, which makes the sides parallel. There's not much of a flare I'm going to need on that one, which will be good if that's pretty close to being correct. Oh yeah, we got a little bit there. Nice. Anyway, so you saw me relieve right there. I just cut the floor, like the whole floor has to come out anyway in the firewall. So I've just relieved it down the sides there up to where the bends is, where the bends are, and I've put this extra brace in here for the right width with a cross in it. It's supported on these boards, which is also supported Pajero body mounts. So that goes straight across the top of those body mounts, and the body's just sitting on that. So it's relatively where it's sort of meant to be. It's really close though, like this here, top of the spring mount, and to that I might have to go up just a little bit, but anyway, we can look at that. So I'm ready to slip the floor in that you just watched me cut. I've tidied all the edges up and it's ready to go in. And I've also got a long strip here to go along this edge in front of the mudguard, and it joins up, like that's the floor height there. So it'll go from there down to the bottom and go all the way across, and it's flat and straight. It'll give some rigidity to the rear end, hopefully. It all sounds good in theory. Let's chuck this in there, and hopefully I can get it to square up a bit and look a bit tidy, and then I can start moving a bit forward. So I can start cutting, you know, here and bring them out to where they're meant to meet. So this whole side is parallel, or both the sides are parallel. So it's a wide body, sort of, kind of. All the CJ3B fanboys are probably going to be a bit upset at me, but yeah, well, too bad. Let's chuck the sheet in and see how we go. Well, how does that look? Kind of nearly looks like it's sort of, yeah, it's meant to be there. Now it looks a bit bare along the back. I've got a nice piece of 50 by 3mm flat bar, which will go along here, and it's the same height. So it'll actually go along there, and then I've just got to put a piece of sheet metal underneath it to make it look like it's all sort of meant to be there. I won't put the dip for the pintle hook in there. I'll just make it go straight across. So it's just barely clearing underneath. That's why I had to put the transmission jack just to hold the back up a little bit, because we're just off the blocks here. So now I can push it into place, because if you have a look here, if I'll just push that in, that closes that gap up, because it's meant to be parallel on both sides, meant to be. And then I can true up the top, so I can actually just temporarily put something in between the top of the two guards, so I know they're at the right width. And then the sides should start all coming together. Like, I mean, truing up, they will be flatter, which will be really nice to see. It was a bit of a mess at the start. Anyway, I'll start tacking some bits together and go from there. So let's get into that. So I've got the checker plate floor in place, and I've got the cross brace, if that's what you want to call it. It's a cross brace in place. I've also put a piece straight across there to give us the right width, if you know what I mean, the right width. And then I'll put this major cross brace in place to give the whole body the right width. So I know it's still connected at the front, I understand that, and it's not the right width at the front part there. But that's sort of, we're coming to that, we're working towards the front. But the other thing that I had an issue with is this. I had a massive big gap in the, where this piece was, where the original piece was. Hang on. So this is the original piece that was in there, and it had a second piece welded to it, and I thought, oh, that's got to go. And if you have a look at it, those with a square eye, if you know what I mean. This side, where my thumb is shorter than the other side. So, actually it stands out a bit more there. So, the body was never going to be square, so I cut that piece of junk out I had to repair, and I'll put the long piece in there as you saw just before, and I cut this out square, neat and tidy, and then got the sides and everything so it all matches. And then I made this angle the same on this side, because it wasn't. It was actually out further. So I've matched them the same as that side, and now this side is the same. So, which it really needed, because what were we talking about before about being square and not square and foundations, and you get the basics right and everything else works. So you can see how far it was out. It was, hang on, I'll have a look around the other side, I'll show you. Okay, so you can see that I've brought the gap in, that side in a bit on this piece of material. So I've straightened that in, and then I've brought all these that come inwards, and then this one came inwards, and you can see the difference of where it was. It's like a 15mm difference at the bottom there, and the bottom is now straight. So you can see where the cut line is. That's where it used to be. So now it's where it should be. So it matches up with this side, and everything is true and straight. It doesn't really matter about the actual cut line, because that'll all be welded and you won't really see anything. So it doesn't really matter there. I put the I cut out the fuel filler, because that's not where the fuel tank's going to be. Actually, I don't know where the fuel tank's going to be yet, but anyway, beside the point. So this cut line doesn't really matter as long as it's exactly the same and it fits and the top is true. Now the funny thing is, I had a bit of trouble with this piece here all the way along. I had to do it in 2 bits, but I made it straight and square and true. But that side had a bit of a gap under it, and this side was neat and tidy. So there's a little gap under the from the side wall to that piece. It's probably about a 4mm gap. With that side, it's actually the opposite. It pokes down below. Now what I thought, oh, well, maybe I've not put it in right. But anyway, I measured the height of the side, that height, and this side is actually 6mm higher. Why? I don't know. Because whoever made these sides didn't do a very good job. But anyway, it's going to be rectified, because I'm going to add 6mm. It's on a taper actually, so I'm going to add 6mm little wedge in the bottom. You won't even notice it when it's all finished. But at the moment, that's where we're at. Now, what I was trying to do here, I've got this long piece of material clamped to the back with a couple of magnets, because I was about to measure from here, put the tape measure on here, and then measure all the way up to there and work out where I was going to cut down the side. Because I need to cut down here, well, it doesn't really matter. I need to cut down here so the taper can be right. If you have a look inside there, I need to get this at the right angle, or the same angle, and it'll come out further because the body is wider. So when I put a cut line down here, this will go dong and come out. This will come springing out and be nice and straight along the side, because at the moment it's not straight. So this piece will come out straight, and then I can just add on this piece, whether it be whatever, and it'll match up to it. And this side will then be parallel, if that makes all sense. I know it all sort of sounds a bit funny, but it's about being square and parallel and getting the angles right. And so this angle here is a fixed angle, so it's not going to change. These sides, the two sides, need to be parallel and match up to it. And the distance from the back, that rod that goes all the way across on the outside, that's only just temporary there, it's just clamped there. So I needed a measure point from the outside. So if I measure from there up to here and make it the same reference on the other, I'll be able to use it as the reference point to cut, and then at the moment then the back half will be separated again. But anyway, I'll be able to keep it true enough and go from there. Now I've got a problem. I put this on, it's only clamped and with a couple of magnets and whatever, just so I could work out the dimensions. And I had a look down here, and this side's not so bad. It's relatively parallel. The gap from this side, because there's a 3mm piece of angle, well, it's probably 1/8 back in the day. So it's 3mm there to 3mm there. Little bowls in the middle, that's okay. I'm okay with that. And this is pretty crusty and lots of holes and a fair bit of rust and whatever. So I was going to patch all those bits up, but then I come across to this side. Whoa, what's going on there? That's like a 10mm gap. And this is even rustier. There's more rust holes than... Anyway, it's bad. So there's a bunch of holes and there's more rust down here that the previous owner had, or the previous owner had put a lot of body filler in there. And yeah, come on guys, you don't put body filler over rust. It don't stick. I've tried to persuade it to come out with the 4-pound persuader, and it wouldn't come out. I did get it a little bit, but that's too big a gap. So what I've come to is I've got to make new ends, just like that. It's only 1.6mm. It's going to be a rectangular piece, like, and then just curl on the end there. So all I got to do is make a template for this, like something that fits over the outside as a template. It can be a bit of cardboard or maybe a bit of sheet metal or something. Just so I can either take a piece of flat steel to fab shop and they can roll it, put in their roller, or I might even try and do it here. And then I'll put them into place and it won't have that big gap and it'll eliminate all the rust in that piece. I've got to do 2 sides. No point doing one, you may as well do 2. That looks like what I'm doing now. Yeah, so I've got the body all widened like I said I was gonna. So it's a wide body, yeah. But now I've got to make those corners. So we'll do that in the next video and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.